I'm Fernanda Cantone, and the research sustainable project for the ruins in the consolidated city, the case of the convent of Sant'Antonio da Padova in Scicli, Sicily, was carried out by myself and my colleague Francesca Castagneto. At the base of the cultural debate regarding urban recovery, which has been in discussion in Italy since the 1980s, there are some fundamental principles that today are counted in the concept of sustainability. The passage of time widens the field of action of the conservation and its cultural, social, and economic values to the anthropoid territory. In this sense, in recent decades, the concept of landscape has become the key to the proposition of innovative strategies. The term historical urban landscape refers to a vast urban area characterized by historical stratification of values, architectural, historical, cultural, and natural characters that go beyond the notion of historic center but involve a wider urban context. These characteristics provide a comprehensive and integrated approach to the identification, assessment, conservation, and management of the historical urban landscape in the context of a general sustainable development. In 2021, the 10th anniversary of the UNESCO recommendation of the historic urban landscape, thematic meetings focused on various aspects of the theme of the project, such as public space, restoration, tourism, cooperation between public and private, limitation caused by the pandemic of the management, and the use of site constituting the heritage of humanity. The ruins of the past, the fragments of human work that have gradually given way to the natural, are places where two realities confront each other, the work of man and action of nature. In this imbalance, stacked in favor of nature, which invades and destroys the architectural work, man develops a feeling of melancholy and awareness of the separation between the will of the spirits and the need of nature. The imaginative potential produced by the ruins has enriched them with attraction, and they have become passionate destination for history-loving visitors. Many popular books, films, and TV series are set in historical realities. Castles, convents, and productive buildings offer a wealth of experience and intensity that illustrate well the effective nature of heritage encounter. However, the projects in this case are also useful to confront the relationship between ruins and urban and territorial context of belonging, between architecture and nature, to such an extent that a fruitful union is formed between the urban project and the ruin itself. In fact, some ruins, especially if within the historical urban landscape, can be recovered, maintaining the charm of the past. The contemporary architecture introduced inside the ruins can have a similar effect to the popularization of a tourist site, especially if it refers to the memory of the place. For the marketing point of view, the contemporary project for the ruins acts through special metaphors and particular architectural symbols that characterize the place and that recall the past with the power of the present. The case study. Scicli is a small village of about 27,000 inhabitants in the district of Ragusa in the south of Sicily. Since 2002, its historic center has become a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Its birth is certainly prior to the arrival of the Saracens in Sicily. 1693 marks the destruction of Scicli due to a strong earthquake that killed 2,000 people and led the rebuild further downstream. The 1700s was the century of reconstruction, and many churches and convents were built in the style of the purest Sicilian Baroque. The 1800s brought extension, and the 20th century gave the current shape. The complex of convent of Sant'Antonio da Padova and the giant church of Santa Maria Immacolata is located in an area originally extramania, away from the town and along the banks of a stream. The convent of Sant'Antonio has an uncertain date. It was founded between 1226 and 1363, but little remains of the building of that time. The convent today consists largely of a post-earthquake realization of 1693. Among them are the 1514 chapel built by Master Pietro Rovetta and part of cloister of 1522. Some rooms were made for novices between 1560 and 1624. The church was entirely rebuilt in the first half of 1700s. The reconstruction work resulted in substantial changes to the plan, elevations, and decoration, but respect the formal rule of the period. In 1866, the complex passed to the state property and was later sold to private individuals who placed a matchbook factory here. An explosion damaged the complex, and the bombing of World War II completed the destruction. Since then, there has been a slow decline. Today, we can only receive the ruins of the church inside. We can still distinguish the decorative stucco apparatuses, the perimeter walls of the complex, and some internal division. Here we can see the ruins of the church and of the complex. The fascination of the ruins of the past and of a forgotten world offer increasingly important design cues. The approach can be varied, but the goal remains common: integration between past and present. In many projects, there is also integration with civil society and a use not only contemplative of the ruins, but a social one for the community. A perfect example is the project of the urban center of Ruesta in Spain, along the Pilgrim's Way to Santiago, conceived by Sebastian Arquitectos in 2018. It involved the consolidation of the ruins in the village of Resta, abandoned for several decades, to create areas for gathering and rest for pilgrims, with spaces for children made in complete safety. Another significant example concerned the recovery of the ruins of the castle of Baena, again in Spain, designed by José Manuel López Osorio in 2017. It integrates the historical and cultural heritage of the ruins with a process of revitalization of the neighborhood. It can be implemented through a modular system to incorporate to the monument new uses that transcend the mere contemplation of historical ruins. Equally interesting is the recovery of the ruins of the monastery of St. Francis in Saint-Lucie de Talleyrand in France in 2021. A reconstruction was completed through the concept of camouflage. The architect Amelia Tabella wanted to create a sensory setting linked to the silence of religious buildings. It is a formal reconstruction of the existing one, made of curtain steel, that, according to the principle of mimesis, recreated rarefied and mystical setting. Another beautiful proposal project for the recovery of the ruins is Water Wharf, located at mills of the bank of the Mississippi in Minneapolis, in the USA, carried out by MSR Architecture, where these ruins are used to passive recreation areas suitable also for children. The concept of public space redesigned through the objectives of social and temporal integration that leads the user to a relaxing contact with water in all seasons. The project of Longrovia Rural Hotel, created by Luis Rebelo de Andrade in 2016 in Media, Portugal, involves the integration between old buildings and new spaces created around. These are fundamental ideas for a sustainable project in which the social components is stimulated by innovation and conservation, by new spaces for the community, by new economic and productive ideas. If used together and properly interpreted, they can give very positive results. The study began by searching and selecting projects on the ruins with marked characteristics of social sustainability and approaches the project in the historic urban landscape with new energy. The characteristics of the ruins and the needs of inhabitants are studied through the objective deduced from the analyzed project, identifying the needs of the local community in terms of sustainability and social integration. The project involving the reuse of the ruins is therefore based on the characters of context and community. Among them, the surrounding fertile soils became a fundamental element of the project of economic and social development. A sustainable approach in this sense, leading to the rebirth of ancient agricultural tradition and also employing modern production, carried out with respect for the land, genuine products, seeds, and machinery to help man. The idea has been strengthened by studying the project of Agri-Food Park, AFP, by William McDonough and partner and others, conceived in 2015 in Denmark. It is a virtuous example that confirms the ideas expressed earlier. It identifies as an urban farm a container that responds to the demands of the community, enhances the values of territory, stimulates the economy and boosts the aggregate component. In this context, the project rethinking the ruins in a contemporary key, proposing an idea that preserves, reuses, communicates, and exploits the potential of the building and the place around it, an urban farm in the Sant'Antonio da Padova complex. Here we can see the plan and the section of the real estate today. The creation of such an urban farm system in the recovered complex will host a house of Sicilian crops to reacquire and spread the ancient tradition of Cannavataro, a man familiar with the local agricultural tradition who cultivates the land as if it is were the the primordial matter and sells it directly to the consumer. Here we can buy or devour the product of the Cannavate, the biological archetype of the past that produced native varieties. The cloister, the heart of the convent, will host a garden of sharing around which we'll develop the activities to start up. A kitchen garden with native crops, respecting the cycle of each crops and following the slow food principles. A therapy garden based on the desire to rediscover a slower rhythm of life, evaluating the beneficial properties of the fruits of the earth and regain possession of the territory, cultivating the land. An area of research and development with laboratories for the research into ancient grains and native seed, a small meteorological station. The complex will be completed by social and collective functions, such as a restaurant in the refectory of the convent and its kitchen, a common room for aggregation within the church, a temporary shop under the barrel vaults of the 16th century loggia to sell both processes product in laboratories and thus produce in the area of Cannavate in the kitchen garden. Outside the construction instead, areas will be cultivated according to cycles that alternate the type of production according to the season. The tradition of Cannavate will be continued in the area that runs along the stream, forming small plots of land of 1,000 or 2,000 square meters at most, surrounded by citrus trees. The project of the technological reuse involves the consolidation of the walls through a series of different interventions depending on the conditions of supports. In areas with exposed masonry, the intervention involves the consolidation and preservation of the wall with the reticular twins reticulatus system, which occurs the reinforcement of joints with the use of stainless strand and lime mortar. This system improves the shear and flexural strength of the masonry, allows to upgrade the resistance to cutting and bending of the masonry while at the same time maintaining the original appearance. On the partially collapsed walls of the church, identical intervention will take place for the restoration of the wall box, tie rods, and the creation of an upper curb that close and connect the walls will be employed. Internally fixing and cleaning of the existing growth will be undertaken. The beton text fiber reinforced planting system will be used to consolidate the existing walls. It is composed of fabrics, nets, flakes, sheets, and preformed bearing carbon on glass fibers to be impregnated and or glued on the turned surface by means of epoxy thermosetting resins. This type of intervention is used to prevent local and global collapse mechanisms and to achieve an increase in mechanical strength and ductility for the extradus of the walls. For the use of the most damaged spaces, the project involves the reconstruction of the spaces with crosslamp panels placed in adherence to the internal masonry. The choice of cross-laminated timber is linked to excellent characteristic of resistance to seismic stress and thermal performance and air tightness. The project is therefore environmentally sustainable, respectful of the ruins and the technological culture of the past. The research therefore proposed a new peri-urban model of reuse project that combines sustainability with the relationship, architecture and nature that the ruins impose. Today, sustainability values in the design phase are well defined by technologies and materials that value significant energy savings. The goal of this millennium is certainly a conscious and careful use of the building, based on the economic autonomy of the management of the dwellings. The urban farm of Scicli will be a space for the production, processing and sale of seasonal agricultural products, typical of the area and the microclimate. It will be a commercial space with a zero carbon impact, a cultural, educational, social and urban green space. Here, it will be possible to combine agricultural experiments and social relationship through collaboration between academic and commercial activities, leaving ample space for the aggregative capacity of the human being. The possibility of carrying out such a project leads to a reflection, the social role of cultural heritage. The ruins become the perfect place for aggregative but also economic function, place of meeting, profit and commercial development. They also became a way to spread culture and respect for the past, a vital past, full of meaning and activity. The consolidated public space and the historical buildings around become a fundamental network for cultural, social, and economic well-being. Thank you so much. Bye bye.